You know, I'm with Good Company Associates. We're an Austin-based firm that does business development and consulting in the clean tech space. How we got involved in this, we've been involved in the industry, for decades, but we've been serving as an advisor to the Green Corridor Consortium, which is a group of 16 community colleges and workforce boards in the area from San Antonio through Dallas. A lot of green jobs, money's been flowing over the past couple years, and we've been engaged through the governor's office and the Workforce Commission to help provide some insights into the green economy and what the different opportunities may be. A lot of people like green and they may think of wind technicians, but there's a lot more opportunity out there than just the wind and solar, and we've been trying to temper expectations in that area. So as we were sitting in on some of the discussions with the Green Job Leadership Council down here in San Antonio, that led to the discussion of, well, everyone's chasing certain things in the industry, but what could we do based on San Antonio's incumbent strengths and assets, and what are some of the specific opportunities? So we came up with a report that some of you may have seen, and electric vehicles was one of the areas that we chose to profile for the group. So to provide some general context, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of excitement about this industry, and there's a lot of excitement about many green things, but part of what we've been trying to do is to provide some actual analysis and level of scope to demystify some of the myths about green energy and the promise of that economy. A lot of people have said it's not a silver bullet in this industry, it's a bunch of silver buckshot, and I think that's true. So specifically, so what I want to do here is kind of tell a little bit about why should San Antonio care. I mean, clearly one of the known assets of San Antonio in terms of vehicle manufacturing is Toyota. So, the Toyota manufacturing plant here for the trucks has been very successful. It's been a great boon. It employs thousands of people in San Antonio. But if you look at this graph here, this shows the sales of trucks and their market share, over the past, decade. And so, as you can see, as the price of gasoline rose in 2004, 2005, and beyond, the sales of trucks dropped along with it. And that is a risk for San Antonio jobs. And so much of the excitement about this industry has to do not from acquisition, but from job retention, is that if you lose pickup truck manufacturing in particular in San Antonio because they're gas guzzlers with CAFE standards and don't have something to replace or diversify into, you're talking about thousands of jobs lost. So this is one of those examples of job retention. This is a map that I stole this from, or borrowed this from the Department of Energy, and it shows the distribution of the battery and electric drive manufacturing stimulus award grants. None of them came to Texas, and the same is true for the next slide that I'll do on some of the electrification. So in the short term, and even the medium term, a lot of the race for the manufacturing is over, and it's gone to the winner of these stimulus grants, and the main benefactors of these awards have been California, with Tesla and BYD, Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, and others. Now, that doesn't mean that Texas is out of the running, but what it does mean is, with the misfortune of other states, we're going to miss out on a lot of the short-term manufacturing opportunities in this field, and that's something that I think we should all be aware of. This is the Transportation Electrification Award distribution. And again, as you can see, Smith Electric up in Kansas City and Ford Motor up in Kansas City got some awards nearby, but again, none in Texas. So what is going to be one of the main drivers of opportunities in this? This is a slide that also came from the DOE that shows the forecasted cost of a typical electric vehicle battery. Right now, in 2009, it's around $33,000, which is a pretty expensive vehicle. But as you can see, you're getting scale economies that by 2020 is down at the $5,000, which is very reasonable. And so most of the goals that have been put out there, Obama called for 1 million vehicles by 2015. I think at that point, Deutsche Bank projects that you're going to have double the supply of lithium-ion batteries that's out there, so you're going to see costs come down. There's going to be a lot of consolidation in the industry, similar to what we've seen in solar, that there are a lot of players. The map back here has a lot of people who are working on this. There may not be that many market leaders, so a lot of consolidation is going to happen. Some technologies are going to win out. There will continue to be innovation, but again, it's a risky play. There's going to be a lot of volatility in the industry in the short term, so San Antonio needs to exercise caution and patience as they pursue opportunities. So in terms of the good news, though, after 2015, there are significant opportunities in manufacturing and assembly, and not just in cars. You know, when you talk about electric vehicles, you talk about how do we attract GM, how do we attract Ford, how do we attract Toyota. That's part of the equation, but you already have Toyota, so you can leverage some opportunities. And frankly, if you talk about cluster analysis, getting a lot of the Toyota manufacturers here in terms of the drive motors, the frames, a lot of the things that go into the vehicles themselves, growing a cluster around Toyota, if they're interested, is something that could be very compelling. When motor manufacturing left California, they left a plant, and you know, they shuttered the plant in California and came down here to San Antonio. Well, that plant recently reopened after Toyota invested in Tesla. And the same plant that closed to move the truck manufacturing down here to San Antonio is now producing the electric vehicles. No reason why we couldn't do that again in 5 years and bring more down here. But if it's not Toyota, I think this is something that the city, and this is way above anything that we're involved in, you know, you have Toyota as an asset. I don't know that the city wants to become another Detroit. I don't know who wants to be Detroit right now. And also, you know, you have that relationship, so I don't know how open they would be to attracting the other GM, Ford, and getting those people competing with the talent pool. But if they're not interested in helping grow the cluster, then, you know, are there policies from procurement with non-compete with existing vendors that need to be looked at in terms of growing this industry? And I think one of the biggest takeaways you see in any of these areas is that in order to take advantage and capitalize on the opportunity in 2015, you have to have a scalable presence now. And that's really where a lot of the short-term focus should lie. It should lie in getting some of the infrastructure in place. So when you talk about, again, more than just the vehicle manufacturing, let's do some limited production. Maybe if Toyota goes from the ERAV4 and some of the other models, get a piece of that. But also look in some of the other areas so you can start knowing how to manufacture and have a compelling case in a few years as this industry really grows. So infrastructure. One of Good Company's clients is GridBot, who's demonstrating downstairs. They have a charging station. You know, Better Place, Coulomb, and GE all have products in this space, and there are others who are going to come out there. There are some market leaders, but I think a lesson for San Antonio is that there are going to be iterations of different products, different types of charging speeds, those things. So there is no clear market winner right now. So again, exercise caution when trying to get the next hot manufacturer down here. But our client, after they pass, you know, some testing, is going to look to scale up manufacturing, you know, sometime next year, and there's no reason why that can't happen here in San Antonio. Fleets is another opportunity. Office of Environmental Policy has been very active in trying to get Prius added to the fleet. They've added a total cost of ownership model when they do fleet purchases. The city of Houston has been interested in this, the city of Austin. So what you have in fleet purchases is if I'm an electric vehicle manufacturer or someone in the industry, and you have compelling markets in Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, and the infrastructure along that triangle, that is a market too big for any person in this industry to ignore. So there's going to be some friendly cooperation, some coopetition in here, but if we can really electrify the corridor in that triangle, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, that will really help get a lot of the economic opportunities down here. Research and development, that's another area that really needs to be a focus. That was an area that has been great for Austin with some of the semiconductor manufacturing, and really is the key to driving wealth. San Antonio has a ton of green jobs. You have a ton of HVAC contractors, weatherization folks, but it's not something that, you know, is really, you know, putting you on the map in terms of the green economy. It's a lot of jobs, but it's not wealth creation per se, but a lot of the innovation can be. And an example of this, on Monday there was an announcement that VS Technologies, located just a few miles north, licensed its technology to Energy One in Kentucky, and they're going to be manufacturing a lot of electric vehicles in Kentucky using VS Technology proprietary, you know, processes and things. VS Technologies works with a zinc, a zinc-based battery. They have some in existence, and they have some new things that they're working on. They also deal with composites, because if you talk about electric vehicles, some of the challenges has to do with weight and power and torque and things like that. So to take the exact same car and put electric batteries in it, if it's the same weight, you're going to have problems. You're going to have range problems. You're going to have things like that. But if you use composite materials that are lighter, same car, same tensile strength, things like that, you actually can increase the range. And this company up nearby did some of the body work for Lotus with composites, and they're working on new composites for cars, for trucks, for pickups, for other things. That's very exciting. And there's licensing opportunities there. There's no reason why CPS Energy and UTSA and Southwest Research Institute in town couldn't be involved in some of the emerging zinc air things that are going to happen. Lithium ion, you have some innovation that could occur there as well. So there's a lot of R&D. The Research Alliance signed between CPS, SAWS, Southwest Research, and UTSA is a great asset for the community and one that should be leveraged in the fields of both electric vehicle and a broader battery consortium. A good company represents the Texas Energy Storage Alliance. And a lot of the same people who manufacture batteries for utility scale grid are interested in plugging the same lithium ion or lead acid technology into cars. And if you can get scale through CPS Energy at the utility level, you could also get some synergies with some of the electric vehicles. So that's something that CPS could be very involved in those opportunities. Policy. One of the main reasons why CODA chose Ohio for its manufacturing plant was stated that the city had shown such a huge commitment to electric vehicles in terms of their rollout of a limited number of charging stations, some of their policies to basically make it easier to get approval under city codes and city permits for the charging station, and it really showed that Ohio was committed to this industry. They were going to make the policy decisions necessary to facilitate the industry. Again, the Office of Environmental Policy here in San Antonio should be commended for its EV Ready initiative. They've been doing a lot of great work in terms of streamlining permitting programs, offering rebates for first installers, working on city fleet purchases, and that has been noticed nationally, but should continue to be improved upon. And people have and will continue to take notice in that area. And that goes to the last thing, the promotion. Just continue to increase San Antonio's profile that's out there. One that I didn't mention that also is probably worth talking about would be the conversion. Z-Wheels is a company here in town. They're the first licensed person to do a retrofit of the Prius in the state. So again, it's not a huge, this isn't a silver bullet. We're not talking about, billions of dollars and millions of jobs. But across the spectrum, if you have a nice conversion kit to do conversion fleets for all the Houston and San Antonio and Austin, Prius fleets to go from, the gas to fully electric, that's not a bad set of jobs. If you have a composite manufacturer making the composite for cars, that's not a bad job. If you have motors that are being made that are deal with some of the torque and power requirements of an electric truck or an electric pickup, that's different. Extreme Power has some alternative power units that it uses. So when a car is sitting, cop car or a fire truck or ambulance is sitting out at the airport, you don't need to be idling. You should have an auxiliary power unit put in the trunk that it's all electric. And Extreme Power has something of a product that it uses that's being used at the airport, and that company, VS Technologies, has one that they're developing for trucks when they're sitting overnight at truck stops for the mandated rest. Proterra buses, you all have been working with some electric bus companies and other things. So there's a lot of opportunity here, and this is not even talking about the big names like Toyota. I saw Russ Keene with the Plug-in Coalition here, and he'll talk this afternoon, but a lot of the major energy companies, NRG, Luminant, and others, have some project development and are putting their weight behind it, because when you take cars, trucks, and vehicles off of gas and put them onto electricity, those power companies benefit. The city benefits here with a municipal utility. So that's another driver for this town, is the more cars you can electrify, the more money goes to CPS as opposed to going offshore to oil companies, and could be reinvested in the community here. And you have other power companies, let's say, enlightened self-interest in realizing the more power that energy can sell from its wind farms at night, Luminant as well, that's a better return on investment, and it helps us use some of that wind power that's otherwise going dormant. So in closing, I think the three words we use with this industry is that San Antonio must be cautious, patient, and strategic. It's an overheated market. There's going to be consolidation. There are a lot of players in it, but it's one that is of strategic interest for San Antonio, not only for job creation, but also for the job retention and saving those jobs that are out at the Toyota manufacturing plant. Thank you very much.